Hello pandas of the internet, my name is Panda-chan. I am a full-time artist-ish, a part-time cosplayer, and someone who totally forgot to thank you all for 200 subscribers last week. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today's horror story is a light-hearted one about a goose chase for answers from a dead man. So, if you're ready, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. This RPG horror story was posted by Kuda. The only merchant in Waterdeep turns into an all-powerful, non-compliant necromancer after the person we had to interrogate gets killed by the all-seeing ambusher. This story is mainly about bad DM practices in one of our early campaigns, hence the light-hearted tag. Premise: we were playing in the second part of Tyranny of Dragons, so I won't spoil NPC names or anything, but some details of the campaign/setting might come up. Stop here if you are planning to play in it. We decided to investigate the sightings of a cult leader in a nearby town, and after a bit of investigation, we discovered an empty camp in front of a dungeon. We explored the whole dungeon and find the leader. I'll spare the details because they are irrelevant at this point. We're supposed to bring him back to Waterdeep to question him about the cult, but as soon as we come back to the surface, we find an NPC we met in the first half of the adventure. The NPC made a deal with us months prior, both in-game and out-of-game, where she said, "I'll help you find what you need, but you'll owe me a favor." We accepted due to the railroady nature of the first campaign and didn't think much of it. This NPC then put a tracker on us and left. First of all, the tracker was never mentioned in the deal, and since our party didn't fancy having it on us, we decided to get rid of it. We spent months on a boat traveling from Waterdeep to the Sea of Moving Ice. During the trip, we did a cycle of Dispel Magic plus Detect Magic every day to see if the trackers were still on us. After a few days, the Dungeon Master says, "The trackers are gone, you don't sense any magic coming from you." And yet, here she is in all her glory. She found us, and she wants to kill the leader we have in custody before he can spill the beans. The Dungeon Master says, "You see a figure coming out of the woods with a following of 5 other people, and you recognize her." At this point, we decide to flee instead of confronting her, so we take a random direction and start running. The only problem is, every single one of us steps on a mine that kills our horses and incapacitates 2 of us. At the table, we start looking at each other kind of confused, but we don't say anything. The NPC says, "Let me kill him and I'll let you go." And reluctantly, we let her do her thing, knowing that we were headed to Waterdeep, a city full of powerful wizards and clerics that are being reunited to fight the cult itself. A reasonable assumption that you could find someone to revive the leader. We reach the city and start looking for a cleric that can help us. Apparently, the only person that is able to help us is some shady merchant that is also the only potion seller in Waterdeep with absurd prices. His prices are 500 gold per question, and we don't have that kind of money, since every time we try to sell gems or valuable items, we only get 30% of the actual value. At best, we could ask 5 questions, and that's using all our money. We notify him that we are working for the council and that these questions are of extreme value as they could save the Sword Coast. The reply we get is, "Who says I want to stop that?" At the table, we look at each other kind of confused, and we reply with a, "What?" He goes on saying, "If the Sword Coast gets destroyed, I'll have more souls for myself." My backstory involved being a harper. The DM suggested it, and I thought it could be fun. So the first thing I think is, I should definitely notify my superiors about the shady guy who lives in the shady house who wants to destroy the world. I go talk to them, and words can't come out of my mouth. If I try to mention anything about it, I can't. I try to write it, and nothing. I can't even point at the map to signal his location. At this point, my superiors think I am making fun of them, rather than assuming I am under some kind of spell. These Harpers are truly masterminds. The last thing I try is asking for monetary help from the Council of Waterdeep. They hired us and we sent a flying castle crashing down, halting the cult's plans for months. The leader of the Order of the Gauntlet offers to pay himself. We get there and the shady guy is nowhere to be seen. But we established he was also the potion seller, so we go talk to him. The guy tells us that he doesn't want to speak to any faction leaders. At this point, I'm just frustrated. I feel like it shouldn't be this hard to ask questions. After all, that's the whole reason we got sent out there in the first place. We ask for money directly to the faction leader, enough for 5 questions. We go in and set that on the counter. After all is done, we found out nothing. No new information, no new names, all stuff we already knew, and a bunch of, I don't know enough about this, maybe. So, we wasted a whole session trying to get answers from a guy who knew nothing despite being a cult leader, who, mind you, was willing to talk when he was alive. My character made a fool of himself in front of his faction, and all our horses blew up. Amazing. It was our first campaign, and I have many stories from it I could share. I now know better, but I still wanted to share this story with you. TLDR, Deus Ex Machina bombs killed our horses and made us lose our prisoner. Trying to ask questions to the dead body turns into an endless goose chase, despite the guy not having any useful information. Well, the only thing I could imagine is that the DM in the moment didn't have the information on hand. Maybe he didn't read the module far enough, so he was trying to stall for time? But I don't know. Since OP said it happened a long time ago, I assume it's probably something you look back on and laugh about now. Or at least I hope that's the case. In any case, I hope that you are still having fun playing RPGs and enjoying your games with your friends. With that, we've come to the end of the horror story. Leave me a like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me what is your favorite or least favorite merchant you have interacted with in your games. The links to the original story is in the description, so go give it a read. You can find my social media links down there as well. And with all of that being said, I will see you next time.